Our team is 40% PhD. We have 11 gold and silver international medal Olympiads in mathematics and computer science. A skill set is definitely very important, but a skill set without personality is nothing. Find a co-founder that have those sort of items and metrics that you're always looking for.
Welcome to the CEO DNA podcast. And here it's all about helping entrepreneurs to be even better entrepreneurs, better founders, and better CEOs. And today we learn about blockchain, about artificial intelligence, and about finance. And that's why I'm super happy to have somebody here who is co-founder, chief marketing officer, and head of partner from Wisdomise. Welcome, Arash.
Hello, Michael. Thank you for having us. And hi to all the audiences who are listening to this podcast.
Thank you so much for coming. So what is a good CEO for you?
Good CEO? I think there is many factors for become a good CEO or like finding good CEO. I think one of them, or I even say like founders, right? One is resilience.
Right.
Number two is curiosity, in my opinion. Speed execution is another thing. And last but not least, I mean, resilience plus like not giving up is the most important thing for each CEOs who have that sort of DNA in their self.
Yeah, thank you for that. How did it all started with you? You originally from Iran?
Yeah.
But
I left when I was a kid basically to UK. I studied there. And then I moved to US.
When you America?
In San Francisco and then New York.
Nice.
You know. And
West Coast, East Coast?
East
Okay.
Coast, yeah.
Yes.
That was a challenge I had back in the day in US. Like I was in SF and like I got definitely like so much impressed by like Silicon Valley and the whole inspiration that are there. But like at some point I felt like for that specific business that we were running, which was professional platform, it was better to be moved to New York. So having better sort of, networks and, context for expanding there. And then after I exited from my startup, which was a professional platform, I started my digital transformation agency. First in US, then London, Dubai.
So basically you pretty much started quite a way to be an entrepreneur.
Yeah,
Your
exactly.
parents also used to be entrepreneurs?
No,
or
not at all.
Was it in your blood somehow, right?
I mean, I think entrepreneurship sometimes is like you have to do something, right? And I mean, I had nothing to lose. I just wanted to do something like that. I can grow and I can develop myself, right? And entrepreneurship was that kind of answer for me. But like I work as an employee as well in the different companies. I work for Huawei. I work for advertising consultancy groups, and so I started my digital transformation agency, which we were giving services to all 500 Fortune companies: LG, Henkel, L'Oreal, Samsung, Emirates Airlines.
So
like
your
name it.
agency already served all those top 500.
All of them,
Amazing,
yeah.
yes.
And we become multi-million dollars company within only a few years. And then I left. We set up a kind of VC and venture studio groups, which mainly we were investing in a fintech and e-commerce. And then in 2020, with my co-founder Fardad, we started Wisdomise.
Wisdomise, we will talk a bit longer about it in a minute, because it's such fascinating what you guys already created. It's really something special, and not only the founders have an impressive CV, but also like all the board members and so on. But let's talk a little bit about, so you started your own digital agency, had already like the top 500 companies doing business with you. What can we learn from that? How were you able as a young entrepreneur and company to attract those businesses?
For me, in the beginning, like when I started digital transformation agency, I was 26 years old.
Right.
And I had no idea what I'm doing. It's like, I'm sorry to say that, it's like a first sex. You have no idea what you're doing and it's very quick in one way or another.
Right, yeah.
And I just got into something that I had no knowledge about the process. I'm sorry, to mafia behind advertising, this sort of stuff. The only thing we know that we can do things right and we're gonna give the best services. and we are thinking strategically that how we can make an impact on a bigger brands and companies. And we just started. Then the very first step for us was partnership and having good sort of consultant who were helping us through this journey. So we work with, Ogilvy, one of the biggest advertising agency, with Low Burnett. So we were kind of their contractors at the same time. So some of the clients passed by them. And at the time, digital wasn't something mature enough. So we were one of the very early agencies that could transfer the digital kind of part of the companies to a real life, and that's what we were doing.
Right,
basically.
so interesting, because now you do similar things again with, with blockchain and AI. But tell us, how do you see those trends, and how do you get to know it? How did you know at this time that how the digital world works?
I think one of the very first thing to see the trends is to be courage enough to try new things.
Right.
Because a lot of us we are basically afraid to try new things.
Yes.
And that's the very first thing. Like always, when we are looking at the new things we were trying, as an example, LLM, we understood the concept of LLM like 3-4 years ago, and at the time we were like, okay, let's try, let's figure out what's going on. But at the time, like everyone, like we're like, I mean, Google, dominating the whole world. What are you talking about, right? But longest story short, like I think one thing is you identifying the trends, be always curious on finding those things, and then having great people around yourself to always telling you about this kind of stuff, right?
So,
but when it comes to the business, is a bit different, and we're having different practice. But like for individuals, that's what I'm doing.
it's so interesting because I had a chance to talk to Gary Vee, also very famous, one of the
course,
first investors in
he's
Uber,
a legendary,
and also used Facebooks and other things quite early, and he told me quite similar thing actually. He said,
Wow.
Michael, I just try so many different things all the time, and at one point you get a feeling, of course, what you believe will exponentially grow and what not. So it's interesting. Yeah,
Exactly.
So again, then you grew that one, and then you came now to Wisdomise. So what is Wisdomise doing? How would you explain that?
So in a nutshell, Wisdomise is an AI intelligence and investment platform. What
Right.
we are trying to do in a simple word is that we make the whole financial market simpler, easier, and more secure. I mean, rewarding or profitable for them as well. So the financial world is a very difficult concept and market for everyone. And the barrier entry is very high because there are a lot of regulatory regimes involved, a lot of bankers, asset management companies involved, which that kind of barrier to entry is very high. And how we can make it easy for masses and for retail it was basically the problem that we try to solve.
Yeah, and you went on this quite bold, I would argue, yeah, quite strong. So first of all, the founders, maybe give us a bit of a background.
So my co-founder Fardad,
Ex-McKinsey.
yeah, so he was my very old friend. He's a PhD economics in Delft University and then postdoc MIT platform business model. He moved to Netherlands. He became assistant professor at Delft, then back to New York, joined McKinsey, then came to Dubai as one of the founding team of McKinsey Digital Lab. Then he quitted after 4 years. He set up his own boutique development house and consultancy. Then he sold to a bigger consultancy group in Saudi and moved and joined to Karim as a head of strategy. Then chief of staff to Mudassir Sheikh as CEO, and then he was part of the acquisition of Karim and Uber, which was the first unicorn of the region.
Yeah, exactly. So Karim, the first unicorn in the region, Middle East, similar business model as Uber,
Exactly.
and actually also bought by Uber. I remember the two founders were at my in my university at the beginning. They told me, Michael, we will never sell, and then later they sold it actually for $3.2 billion US.
They are very good advisor of and investors of Wisdomise as well.
And now they also reinvest in the region, so it's amazing to hear. And but then that's one. Then you have your track record, right? So it's the two founders,
Yeah.
or who else do it? So two.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah, and then you have your track record, and I think you both together attracted already lots of strategical good investors, or we call it smart money. That means people with also knowledge and
That's
network. For example, the two unicorn founders of the region, but also so many others. And also your board is quite impressive, right? Maybe mention a couple of names.
Yeah, sure. So we raised in total around $10 million. And so from the very early on, the most important thing for us, like who we are working and how we are working. And always in all of the discussion we asking this question from all the VCs and investors, because we learned from day one, and it was a painful learning in a very early on, that good VCs and investors gonna make a very good impact on your business, and other way around, if you don't pick a good investors, can ruin your business as well, right? So we work with a lot of good angels and VCs who basically believe on us and the vision that we had, from founders of as you mentioned, Kareem. We have a lot of partners from McKinsey, from Ronald Berger. We have Chainlink as one of our investors. We have Singularity DAO, Singularity Net as part of our investment group, so on and so forth. So there are a very large cap of
So for everyone who's
Angela.
not so known about the Middle East, there are really, really good investors to have in, or good partners. So amazing. Yeah.
Although I would say 80% of the fundraising we had was like globally, 20% was locally,
Okay.
you know.
Oh, nice.
So for example, Singularity was from that group. We have Japanese, Hong Kong-based VC, for example. Chainlink is from US.
So 10 million. So what would you do with 10 million? What did you do?
Well, I think, with this competitions, like 10 million still is a minimum amount that we raise, which we feel comfortable with it.
Right. So you invest a lot in people, basically. You have lots of people with PhD.
I think, so our team is 40% PhD. We have 11 gold and silver international medal Olympiads in mathematics and computer science.
Amazing.
This advisory boards coming from top academia and industry. So
how do you attract those people besides money? 10 million.
I think we never attract anyone with money. The most important thing that we try to attract people is with our culture, vision, and execution that we have. And the third point is very important for all the startups. I feel like many startups are not that much fast in the execution. That was one of the very core value that we had, and try to always kind of show the people that look at us, like how we can execute things. And that was one of the reasons, like these advisors, continuously working with us in a very like some of these advisors were like, okay, we want to work with you like 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 1 month to like just test each other. And after like 2 weeks, they were like, okay, we want to like go for a full-fledged sort of involvement. And that was a great thing. We are super happy to have such a brilliant minds around the table.
Yeah, no, really. And I also know some of your board members. You guys also asked me at one point to join. It didn't work out at this time, but I always, of course, had my eyes on it.
Exactly. And look, like we were lucky to be always surrounded by people, but great people like you that we talk, we were brainstorming, we were keep exchanging ideas, and yeah, we
had breakfast, and I originally met your other co-founder, Farhad, and he came, had breakfast with me as well. And he asked me some question about business and how to scale businesses, because I worked here at a university as an entrepreneurship professor, and so I had lots of people on the way, and I thought it's so interesting then to hear his question, and also how you introduced him at one point at an event where in Dubai, where you had all the investors coming together, and even one of the investors says, "You guys can have my home." For that, I was very impressed. It was very nice, and you had good food, and then you introduced him. Quite interesting. Do you still remember? What did you say?
I don't remember the sentence or anything, but I remember the whole that night basically.
So you said kind of like, let me introduce you to my other co-founder, and whoever ever worked with him knows how much you guys should have respect for me to be able to work with this guy.
Yeah,
So it was
yeah,
quite interesting. I was just like, wow, okay, cool. They know each
yeah,
other well, right?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, I'm friend with my co-founder over past 15 years, and we are very close to each other. I sometimes feel like I understand him better than myself, and
Interesting.
that's how things moving on in
But a
our.
good learning curve for us. So also what you said there, it was, I think, like you really showed like a strong connection. So you would always recommend to your co-founder to really have already a long track record, that you know them already long time, or no need?
I always think like don't pick your co-founder on the paper. Find a co-founder that have those sort of items and metrics that you're always looking for. For me, was like resilience, curiosity, understanding of the technology, and fast executions.
Right.
And we had a few experiences together in terms
Yes.
of business and stuff. And I knew that like my co-founder have this sort of ability and could match with me as well.
Yeah, nice. What is like one of the I don't know, want to say like mistakes or errors or challenges in your past life that happened, and what can we learn from it? How did you overcome that? Was there something where you said that really hit me down on a personal, on a business level?
Well, I mean, first of all, like I think failure is our is something that we are facing every day. I mean, life is sucks, and we are always facing this sort of challenges, right? But first of all, about Wisdomise itself, we had so many failure. We had a pivot sort of in the team and a structure that we
Right.
had from day one. Like the very first 6 months, we realized that we are going in a very, very wrong directions. And it was a very painful decision that we basically fired half of the team within a few days. And it was very painful. And you feel like, okay, I mean, and you know, when you come to entrepreneurship and a startup journey, like everyone says no to you, and you have to convince yourself to don't listen to any no's and just put everything in practice to make this yes and make it happen. And you don't know how to do it because it's a puzzle of 1,000 things that you have to match together to that thing's getting right. And one of the very early, I think, failure for us, and it was a huge learning for me. It was like we were picking up people based on the paper, based on which we feel like, okay, he has this and that in the resume, right? But I think the startup world is different. You need people who are like they like to make their hands dirty and just going full fledged to make things happen.
Yeah.
And it's very rare to find those people.
Right. So how can we select those people as business owners, CEOs, and founders? Has it to do that focus first on the values and then on the paper qualifications?
I think a skilled set is 30 to 40% of what we are always looking for. And I think the whole HR process in business might change after that
Oh, really?
sort
Yeah, okay,
of
good.
failure, because we are looking to the core sort of culture of that person.
Wow.
Is that fit with us? Are they
Core
looking
culture, values? Yes.
exactly?
Nice.
Because for example, we have a hard working culture. We are working sometimes like 14 hours, 15 hours, 18 hours. Like, do you even like this sort of life? Because you should like it. You should, I mean, and it's not just about motivation, it's about the bigger goal that you are seeing in that sort of journey.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, I mean, for us, a skill set is one thing, but like finding a right people who has a good sort of personality is another thing that I think after the first year we focus on that a lot. And I'm not saying this because I mean, if I was listening such a thing, and someone would say like, look at on those stuff, you're saying, okay, the competition in the market is very high, right? I mean, how can I do that, right? But I feel like if you pick a wrong person, you're gonna even go to the totally wrong directions. And 1% affect your whole company, even if it's 1 out of 100. And that's the painful kind of lessons that you're realizing after sometimes that you're moving on and you feel like, okay, you haven't had enough result or output through the efforts that you put behind it, right?
Yeah. So really, one bad apple will really makes the whole juice or salad bad. And also, I think it's interesting that you said, okay, Michael, choose first personalities, values, and then later the skill set, because the skill set you can train.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
because you have lots of PhDs,
we always saying
mathematics.
I mean, sometimes you cannot teach a skill set within the startup journey, and that's a wrong choice for a startup, because a startup needs people who knows what they are capable for, and they just putting behind execution,
fast, right? Yeah.
Exactly. So it's very wrong environment for like training things. Like I think corporate can do that better. A skill set is definitely very important, but a skill set without personality is nothing.
Yeah, interesting. So today you already, are you looking for the next round? I think always a company,
yeah,
right?
Of course.
I mean, what for tips are for somebody who wants to raise now money, since you guys did it now many times?
I always says to many friends and people who are like starting the startup. Number one, I feel like go and implement your very first MVP. Try to bootstrap for a few months to see is that gonna be a product market fit? Is that gonna be a product that people love? Put some traction behind it. Start to raise through angels,
right?
And then scale up based on that. You know, many of people who are coming to a startup world, they want to get rich overnight, which is not it's not the reality of.
How long does overnight takes in startup? How many
years?
I
don't know. Like, maybe it's gonna take 2 years. Maybe it's gonna take like 20 years. Like, and I think a startup is a wrong place you pick to become rich. You know, there are multiple other stuff that you can do. You can go and invest in real estate here and there and become rich, right? A startup have a different sort of thoughts behind it. You really want to make some sort of impact, and it's painful. Is extremely painful. I mean, I wouldn't understand and realize in the early days that how painful it could be, but it's a moment that you get close to nothing, and you have to solve problems, and you have the courage to protect your whole company, and it's a very painful moment, which we had like many times, but like the only thing that always keep us just pushing forward is that bigger goal. And it's not motivation is crap sometimes, because motivation comes and goes. There are 100 other things that coming in front of you every day, and you have to solve it.
Right. Yeah, very interesting what you said about you have to go to a lot of challenges. Let's put it this on a very nice word. The highest highs and the lowest lows, right?
Yeah.
But what does it still motivate you to continue? So yes, you said there's this big goal at the end, right? But that's not only it. So does a good entrepreneur also love pain?
Yeah, I mean, I think I mean, those sort of there is
because it must be painful, right? It's painful as not. Of course, I know it too, and I talked to some people and said, okay, our run rate, run rate means that they don't run out of money at one point. It's like 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 1 week. And you hear the time taking. You're trying to close an investor, but then you're discussing things on the term sheet, and you maybe don't come to terms. And after 3 days, you say, okay, I have 4 days left. Let's go ahead, right? So
look, I mean, we had so many of these moments, by the way. We never said anywhere, but like we had many months that we haven't had the employee's salary, and my co-founder and I, we were looking at all the accounts that we had, like all the pennies, to just push things forward, and it works for us because we really believe on what we are doing. We really deeply.
So you were always the last one paying a salary to make sure everyone else has it, or
we haven't got any salaries for the first 2 years.
Very impressive, yeah. Because you just said the goal is bigger. That's why I think the entrepreneurship game that you guys are playing are even on the next level in regards to like really all in. right? And I met some of your angel investors at the beginning too. Angel investors are early stage investors who normally go a ticket of, let's say, $100,000, something like that, and just say, I just believe in the guys, and the idea doesn't sound too bad as well, right?
Is something gonna get out of it,
Yeah,
right?
something getting out. Probably not that what they want to do, this product or service, but something else.
And that's the reality of a startup,
Right.
by the way. Like, look at all the major players in the market. Like, what they started from day one is totally different from 10 years after. And this pivots all the time is part of your evolvement. But back to your last questions, I remember a quote from I forgot the David. David, I forgot the name of the guy. By the way, he says that like, if you have to just jump out of the cliff,
Yes.
and you don't know you should do it or not, just jump, because the person which gonna born when you get on after that jump is worth it.
Wow.
So I feel the same thing. Like, you have to just jump, and that person that you're gonna become worth it.
Yes.
And is a totally different horizon that you're gonna kind of
Absolutely,
achieve.
yeah. So to go to the next level, just be the next level kind of and jump. So what can you say for hints or tips for somebody who maybe has a situation that he cannot pay his employees? Because I mean, you must have people coming to you and say, "Hey guys, you still owe me salary. Hey guys, I don't know, like I'm leaving, or I get my lawyer involved or something like that." How do you manage that? Also to stay so cool to say, "Guys, we will be okay."
I mean, we are okay now.
Yes.
Like, maybe like 2 years.
That's why I said now it's nice to talk about it, but at this time it must be quite stressful. And how what can we tell to somebody who's listening who has a situation
one
today?
thing that we were always doing, and I feel like, and we are still doing, like every week, every day, we are talking about that bigger vision that we have. We always, I mean, we have daily kind of meetups. Is a stand-up meetup with all the team members that we have.
How many do you have now?
We are 40.
Okay, nice.
40.
Yeah.
And every day, like, we're talking about that vision. We are talking about like this goal that we want to get there. We're talking about Wisdomise position, and we are talking about who we are. Maybe we are not that, but we are saying, hey, we want to be this company, and look, you should have that sort of a standard in yourself. And gradually people believing on that, because they're also doing it, and we are giving the opportunity and infrastructure for everyone to grow as well. It's not just myself to grow. And look, AJ of today is not the AJ of 3 years ago. I would say that, like, I feel like I was talking with Fardad at the night of our launch last month. He was like, what I learned from Wisdomise, I never learned from McKinsey or MIT. And that's something that you because you're suffering and you're feeling with every sense of yourself.
Absolutely.
And then,
so your co-founder who worked at McKinsey and at so many big companies said, look, in this short period of time you have now the company Wisdomise, you learned much more, because because you guys just jumped and did it, right? You jumped from the cliff, and on the way you figured out what to do.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's so interesting that you tell that to me, and it reminds me of a story from my uncle. I was going to sail with my uncle. And I told it actually to some entrepreneurs who came to me and asked me for mentorship and did not know where to go anymore. And the boat was it was a very storm, and I thought we would die actually. It was like crazy. And then water was coming into the boat. I said to my uncle, is this normal? He said, yes, it's Michael. It's fully normal, And then my other uncle was in the back and had to throw up all the time. I said, hey, uncle, his name is Willy. Is this normal that Otto, my other uncle, is throwing up? And he said, yeah, it's fully fine. And then things were going over. Our food supply was going in the water, because the water was the boat was all the way on the side.
Where was that?
It was in Croatia actually, and it was crazy, It was like, but the worst storm I ever experienced. And I said, my uncle, is this normal? He said, yes, it's okay. And then somehow we made it. I thought really we would badly die on that day, and we were there in the evening in the harbor. And then in the evening it's like the nicest evening, always quiet in the harbor. And I said, look, what we experienced today, Uncle Willie, is that normal? And he said, Michael, hell no. But I said, you told me it's normal. He said, Michael, when I'm the captain on the boat, I need to have a clear mindset and I tell everything is normal. But at this moment, I thought we all would die. And I thought it's so interesting to transfer that to entrepreneurship, right? To be the man on the steering wheel in your case and say, we will be okay.
Yeah, and I feel like that's mentally as well, because mentally you usually don't like to do a lot of things because it's uncomfortable. And training your mind to actually doing things that is uncomfortable. Like I have this practice for a while, that waking up every day at 5 and going to gym and working out, and it's a heavy workout, and I hate workout. I hate it. But I'm doing it because this is a training of my mindset to say, hey, go do something that you don't like. I mean, entrepreneurship is the same thing. I mean, you feel like people waking up every day in a startup and doing something that they love? No.
Yeah.
I feel like people doing thousands of shady things that they don't like.
Sure.
Like you don't like to talk with the regulator, with discussing with your employees, then talking about taxation, then banking, then don't have salary, and then talking with investors, then clients. You don't like many of this stuff, but you doing things that you don't like, and you're gonna just overcome. Exactly.
Right. It's so interesting. For me, it's the ice bath. I do every morning. I hate a cold, and I do it just to to tell my mind who's in charge. How do you transfer that into your team? Because you have a very I don't want to say high IQ team, but you do. You know, your mathematics colleagues. You know, they're on a very. I know how much prizes they already won in the field of mathematics and
computer science.
Computer science. So, how do you transfer that to challenge yourself every day?
You mean how we are?
Yeah. How do you be able to motivate them to do similar things, to not stay on the status quo, to develop themselves further?
I mean, one thing is we have a very transparent organizations,
right?
And everyone knows everything.
Okay.
And we try to create a platform like what we are doing in a bigger in a technology manner, but we try in a business make it platform for everyone to grow itself. Like everyone can be their own entrepreneur in a certain things that they are doing, and they have the full sort of kind of freedom of coming up with new innovative things. And in Wisdomise, most innovative ideas doesn't take like months or years. It takes like maybe even weeks to we go and try it and get fail fast. Get fail fast is a concept that you always have to try in yourself, and that was one of the very first things that people love from Wisdomise. Whoever working with us, like, and I'm not just saying because I'm one of the founders, but like I feel like these people love these sort of challenges. They don't like to be in a comfortable situation, because all of these folks, they are super talented. They can be in Google, Facebook, Apple tomorrow, and they are most definitely they're gonna be more comfortable because you are in a giant company with like hundreds of thousands of developers and engineers. But like here, you are one, you're two, right? There is not like the thousand of people, and it's not comfortable. But like I think it's the same mindset that we are keep talking with all of them.
100%, yeah.
And
So
and about the ice
bath,
the bath that you're saying, that's about dopamine, because every day our mind can release certain amount of dopamine, and you always have to do something that you're not comfortable with. And ice at a bath is one of those. Like even a 2 minutes ice bath can bring like 3 hours dopamine for you. And that's one of the very first thing that you always can try, that, okay, what can I do which make me a bit uncomfortable and painful? And then I go beyond my limits, basically.
Yeah, and I can recommend just a cold shower, could it be, or whatever you challenge yourself. You're a big fan of blockchain and AI. So what are scenarios that blockchain and AI will not survive? What could be in your head that they say, okay, in this scenario, it will not work?
The only thing I can think of is regulation.
Okay.
If regulation ruin the whole things,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
you
That
know,
bit. Yeah.
this is gonna destroy it. But like other than that, I feel like it's only the very early days of blockchain and AI. You know, we just started
Okay. So why will it survive?
because a few things. Number one, and that was one of the very early things that I really impressed from AI, that the vast amount of data that AI can basically analyze, can synthesize, and make actionable steps is something that is out of any sort of human's capability, right? And on top of that, human always involved with emotions, and most importantly, time. We don't have too much time, becoming more like precious and is gold. So I think for these sort of things, AI is gonna keep continuing to evolve, and you know, AGI is coming. Like everyone's talking about new things, and definitely we are in a very early days. The beauty of what happened on AI was like ChatGPT tried to commercialize AI. AI was for at least for a decade, you know. But ChatGPT gave a new meaning of how AI can practice in the real life as well. About blockchain as well, I feel like blockchain is a great technology that make everything transparent. Many things, especially when it comes, for example, to finance, is not transparent. It's always in the hands of a elite of groups that managing those things.
Yes.
And something like blockchain can make it transparent, which everyone can benefit from that,
Yeah.
from users to governments to people to everyone.
Yeah. So now you already have the platform within Wisdomise are different elements, but one is that you can already automate trade
Exactly.
in the crypto world, and it's really automated based on AI, right?
Yeah. So we have a multi layers of AI plus multi layer of execution modules, which always fill the orders. And this concept, it was very difficult, and it still is difficult, and it's very complicated because you have many elements out of your control. Like, and many things in finance and crypto is unpredictable.
Yes.
Unpredictable source of data always coming, and always noise coming.
Yeah.
So how we are doing and how we are solving this problem for retail was a very long journey for us. We some of the modules and models that we train like 6 million times one single model to actually go and
Wow.
work for the users.
Yeah,
You know.
yeah, no, nice. No, I know some of the users besides myself, and it really works. It's quite interesting that you're there so early advanced. And what do we expect in the future? So, what kind of legacy you also want to leave behind with Wisdomise? Just to
So
say it's possible, or is it just to have another unicorn in the region, or what would be your
of course
legacy?
we want to be the fastest unicorn of the region for
Okay.
sure. That's one of the very early goals, early days goal. Karim became unicorn after 7 years. We are 3 years old. We still have 3 to 4 years
To go, yes.
to go. On top of that, uh,
So on the day of the exit, we should have another podcast,
yeah,
okay?
exactly,
The day after, okay.
for sure. Our vision in Wisdomize is democratizing wealth creation. Means that we want to give this opportunity to everyone on earth to enter to financial market without any barrier of entry. For I'm talking about the taxi driver who has only $500 in their pocket and they want to invest or send some of this money for their family. I'm talking about millionaire, billionaires, or employees of any companies. Whoever want to have access or have $100 in their bank account and they want to have access to financial market, we want to create this sort of opportunity. And democratizing wealth creation is the main vision that we are working on it, and that's a legacy that can implement with a super kind of with a super intelligent brain that we are building. this brain we were working over the past 3 years is part of our modules within Wisdomise, that every day is becoming a better sort of intelligent, and it's gonna be a super sort of intelligent or superhuman, let's say,
Yes.
that can understand everything, feel everything, and can automatically act through those stuff.
Very interesting. So let's say you don't have kids yet because you're always working. But let's say you would have kids and you could give them a business advice or to your younger self when you were 18. What would be your number one business advice you would pass on?
I think the first business advice keep giving myself, and I keep would give to my kid for sure, is consistency and never give up. Because I feel if you do, many people, I mean, even myself, and I learned from a very painful lessons that we don't have consistency, and we always fail through the ups and downs of our business life. And if you just keep up, no matter what, no matter how, you're gonna win.
Very impressive. Thank you for so many
Thank you
insights,
so
so
much.
many, really hints.
Thanks for this great podcast. I was listening a few of this
Oh,
today,
perfect.
and I really amazed of that.
Perfect.
Thank you so
Cool.
much.
Thank you so much for
Thank
coming
you.
today.